rapidly. Get on the beers. That's your civic duty. That's what's most important, and that's what must be done. Beers, beers, beers. Get on the beers, 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 and that's what must be done.
Recording.
Oh, I can actually see the red little. I didn't see that the first time. Unbelievable. Alrighty.
We are in mix.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Three Schooners. My name's Isaac. Good job, guys.
You're next, JJ.
I was being a gentleman, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
I did a flow chart there. Where
I wouldn't call it a flow chart as much of a document with some colours on it, Dave. Is
yes.
What I would say. My name's JJ.
Should we do that again?
No.
I
want people to scare incompetence.
Okay. Just own it.
Yeah, we are incompetent, and that is fine.
Okay, cool.
What's your name? Bess, this is for those that don't know, this is podcast number 2.
Yeah.
We're off to a great start.
We've really researched our stuff. For those who don't know me, I am David, and I am one of these 3 idiots. This is the Three Schooners podcast, like I said earlier, by Mr. Gatios himself. And being the Three Schooners podcast, it would be a bit outrageous if we didn't have beer to accompany through our podcast. So, JJ, what have you got going on today?
I have changed it up this week.
Ooh,
I know we're on week number 2.
Unbelievable.
But I've got. No, I'm kidding. It's still still looking for that sponsorship, Desperados. So I will exclusively drink your drink until and after we get that sponsorship.
Yeah, we really do.
So I've got a Desperado. I'm going to open it now because I'm really needing it.
And, Mr. Gatios.
Well, I've taken a leaf out of your book, and I actually have stolen your beer because it was on special. But I've got an added little story. So I am drinking a Furphy, and the reason it's called Furphy is because way back when the Furphy trough where they used to get water is obviously where they got their water. But also, if you sat around and you told a story, it was called a Furphy, and that's where the name comes from.
But where does the name Furphy come from for where you tell a story?
Because the water trough was called a Furphy.
But why is that called a Furphy?
Because you tell the story there. No, it was the brand. The brand was Furphy. It's a fucking... I've seen one of the original Furphys up in a brewery somewhere. I feel like you've got a fun fact that's going to beat my fun fact or make my actually validate or invalidate my fun fact.
I've got nothing.
Is that right, JJ? There you go. Go on.
I've got nothing. I just want to know.
Okay. Well, it's legitimately... The brand was Furphy that used to make like the water troughs.
What do you mean water troughs?
Like fucking the big things where they drink water back in the day.
So let me get this straight.
Like communal water area?
Yeah, wait, let's...
You wouldn't have that in a trough?
One of those Furphy little things where they carry water was called a Furphy.
All right. When you said the trough, I thought it was like, hey, I've got a great idea for a new beer. Let's call it, name it after a water trough. It's like, not...
Are these twisties
going to really sell it.
Yeah, they will be. Most Australian beers are, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've just got weak hands.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting for you, Dave, by the way. You just took a piss. I'm going to have the beer. Fuck yous.
Well, I've got there's a bit of a story to this, but I've actually got 0% beer, Heineken. Yeah. Boo. There is a reason I actually do have a medical screening tomorrow, so I have to actually fast tonight and have no alcohol in my system. So sorry, boys, this is for science and stuff, which I'll go into later. But
I was about to say.
Let's see. I've actually never had 0% beer. This is the first time.
I did Dry July, and I had Carlton Zero, and it was shit. But Heineken Zeros are meant to be really good.
Boys, can
do you know what it tastes? It tastes like the real thing, man. Oh yeah,
just cheers. Cheers,
yeah,
guys.
Cheers,
everybody.
It does actually taste like actual Heineken, which is shit. Oh, I got something on my camera there. There you go.
On your potato.
How can you tell?
Yeah. There you go. Hey.
So, I might as well introduce this week's topic.
Absolutely.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Because
Let's
that's
get
what
it
it
going.
says on the flow chart that isn't a flow chart.
Right, boys, this is great organisation for me. So this is the best you're going to get.
I mean, it's got colours, man. I'm in. It's good. You've
I
done
know.
it.
I think we should add it in the show notes so others can read it and follow along.
This is what you tried to do.
I wrote it out real quick, and then I just was like, "Do you know what this is missing? Colour." Just coloured it in.
And he's right. It was.
Yeah, it's very colourful what we're looking at.
Today's topic is about how we have all survived financially throughout COVID, and more specifically through the stage 4 lockdown, because that stopped a lot of businesses from running. We're just going to explain how we all got through it, how if our other halves, sorry Isaac, I know how lonely it can be, our other halves got through it as well, and things like that. So yeah, I'll pick someone to go first. Since you were talking about your medical screening, Dave.
Yeah,
let's go with you first.
Yeah, well, we've been in this thing since March. It was beginning of March 2020, so it was kind of a scary time. I watched. I was working during the hostel with Isaac, like we mentioned in our last podcast, and we were working
Link in the description.
Sponsors as well from base. But yeah, we were working in the bar. Man, I remember that night. I was with you that night. You were drinking in the bar, and they were like, the Victorian government announced that basically everything was getting shut down after that night. And I was like, this is crazy. Everyone get as drunk as you can before it all shuts down. But it was scary because it was like, I basically lose my job tonight. Hospitality shuts down. So what I did is, on and off in my time in Australia, I've worked for a labour hire company, and I just gave them a call, and I was like, look, I need some work. Now I'm actually on a student visa, so part of the visa restrictions are that I can only work 20 hours a week.
Where? Part of them where?
Sorry, the student visa in Australia, or?
Yeah. No. The part of the rules were that you could only work 20 hours a week, but that's changed now.
Yes, well, there's some misinformation about that, which I'll elaborate on in a minute. But yeah, the general rule is you can work 20 hours in a week, or 40 hours in a fortnight, so 20 each week, or you could do 40 hours in 1 week, but you won't be able to work the next week. Now, the Victorian government or Australian government decided that, this is pretty rough. So if you were working in a critical sector, if you were a nurse or you were a doctor or you're working in aged care or something like that, they were going to ease the restrictions, because basically you can then work as much as you want, and you're actually assisting the crisis in Australia. For people like me, though, who are studying a business diploma, I can go get fucked, really. We were stuck to our 20 hours a week, and yeah, it got pretty tough. I started working the construction again. I can only work 2 days a week as part of the regulations, and yeah, you find that work starts dropping down. What made it worse is when we got to stage 3 or stage 4, especially in stage 4, Dan Andrews, the Victoria Premier, decided that all sites needed to reduce their workforce by 75% if they were 3 stories or above. Well, the labour hire company I work for, most of their sites they were contracted to were 3 stories or above. So at that moment, the sites will look and go, okay, we need to really manage what we've got going on site. So labour hire, general labour, you could really get a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician. You could get them to do their assigned task and labouring on the side, so multi-skilled. So people who are just to do labour, and they kind of got to the chopping block. So I saw my work go down, and pretty much became non-existent in stage 4. And I turned to things like Uber Eats. So I never thought I'd become an Uber Eats delivery guy, but I do. Got on my bike and started delivering pizzas for money. And what a job that is.
And how much can you? Because I remember when you started doing that, you done it with our friend Ash as well. How much are you making on average per hour? I know that it fluctuates huge, like in a massive amount. But if you give me an average of that, just so people can understand.
So really, you get about $5 a delivery, which is pretty poor. And you'll ride on average about 2.5 Ks each delivery. It can be less. It could be literally around the corner. But what I've found doing it is either 1.7 Ks to 2.5 Ks, and that could be up hills or down hills or whatever. You never get down hills.
Plus waiting time.
Yeah, plus waiting time. And you jump for joy, or you cycle for joy, should I say, when you get a downhill, because it just seems like I've realised there's so many uphills in Melbourne. It's ridiculous, really.
That's why most people that do it now have got electric bikes and stuff.
Yeah, you see, which is also real frustrating because I like doing mountain biking, so I picked up like a mountain bike. So there's me slogging it away, going up a hill, and then you'll just see some guy on an electric bike just right past it.
It's something that I can never remember seeing in the UK. I don't know if it's maybe taken off now, but I never saw an electric bike in the UK, and I see it every single day here, like loads.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. There's so many of them.
I think they've definitely increased due to the Uber Eats boom as soon as lockdown kind of hit. Every man and his dog was ordering Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So to get more efficient, it's like any industry, right? You got to become the most optimum you can, the most efficient. So you're throwing electronic bikes, not scooters so much, but like anything that's going to get you there quicker and faster and increase efficiency.
I personally rented two during just before lockdown because I like electric transport. It's one of my weird fascinations. So I like to play about with them and things like that. So I've rented one for a week. In fact, I've rented two for a week at different times. They're amazing. Honestly, see if I could get one that I could put Yasmin on the back of, so that I could take her about the place if I needed to. I'd trade that in for a car. Anyway,
all right.
They are cool. Like Uber, actually, well, not Uber, but there's companies that just rent them to Uber drivers. So it's kind of like, I think Uber might advertise it. I'm not sure. But basically what you were saying, the world kind of went into this stage 4 free lockdown. In my head, I was like, okay, I've lost my job, but I can go do Uber delivering. And then and may I say there's other delivery partners available. But I went and did Uber, and I was like, oh, this is going to explode. There's just going to be so much money and so much work, but that actually isn't. You'll find the peak times are like weekends, so Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday nights. During the week, it's pretty much non-existent and real poor pay. But on the weekends, when it's real high demand, they pay you multipliers. So you can see your $5 or your $7 deliveries go up to about $10 deliveries. So that's where it gets... you can make all right money, but it's still not the same amount of money you'd make if you were working in a bar or something like that.
Yeah, and there's so many people that are in a similar situation as you, especially backpackers. Like we said last podcast, I manage a hostel, and I reckon for a time I had 30% of my guests unemployed, 30% working in labor sectors, and 30% working for food delivery. Right? Some doing both. So as soon as, like you said, the labor sector's gone, that's 30% of people, at least in my demographic, that are then transferring to the only thing they can easily get into, which is delivery driving. So I can imagine that you're constantly competing constantly fighting with drivers left, right, and center.
I'm just really wondering what happened to the other 10%.
They work for me.
Yeah. It's crazy. So I started doing this Uber, and I'm like, it's tough, man. It's made life, financial income tough. And when you're out in the rain, it's pretty disheartening.
Because it wasn't just you. I mean, you done it with our mate Ash as well.
Yeah, which we're hoping to maybe get Ash on a future podcast as a guest. But we all know Ash. But Ash, one of our friends, is a promoter around Melbourne. So obviously he saw a lot of his work go. I remember my first day we signed up and we were like, oh, we're going to make loads of money. And we got on our bikes and we went down to a popular place called Chapel Street, where obviously you boys know, but it's where all the restaurants and nightclubs are. And, it's just loads of accommodation around there. So you're just central to everything. So we go down, turn on the app, and we head down to Chapel Street. And man, I was there for about 2 hours and I think I made $12. and then insult to injury on the way back. I'm like, oh, let's call it quits. It's about lunchtime. So we would try and get the lunchtime rush. I was like, let's go back to St Kilda where we live. So we ride it back. And there we are in the bike lane and I'm taking the lead. And on Chapel Street, the cars get like real close to you and stuff. So you've got to be like keeping an eye out for the cars. So I look at this car, turn around, this guy's just opened this door. I go smack into the door. I go flying into the street. So I've made $12. I'm sorry, Mum. I got hit by a car. I hit a car. There's me lying on the road. I was like, this is life. This is living. Yeah, that was a pretty, that was a rock me bottom moment.
But the thing that's got you through mostly is that your missus has kept working as well, yeah?
Yeah, so my partner, Elise, she works in the education sector. So she helps with student visas and helps find people education and stuff like that. She does something like that. Anyway, she's managed, she does a thing. But she's managed to keep working. So yeah, we've had to, Elise has very much became the breadwinner, and then I'm trying to pick up work wherever I can, which can get very disheartening at times because you're like, where's my next income going to come from? But the whole way we got onto this subject and the whole reason I'm drinking 0% beer, sorry boys, is because I'm doing a medical screening tomorrow. So I'm going into hospital tomorrow where they're going to take ECGs, my heart rate and all that, blood pressure, my bloods. Basically, this is the step before I go on to a clinical trial, which I never really noticed back in the UK, but they seem to be a thing over here. And there's various companies, and they're doing ones for coronavirus at the minute, and they're doing ones for loads of other things. And you go in, and they'll take all your bloods and all your readings, and then they'll get back to you a few days later, and they'll tell you they'll give you a range of studies, and you choose which one you want to go for. But the payouts are ridiculous on some of them. You could do like 3 night stay, or you could do a week stay, or one. I actually was applying to one before this, and I failed, and it was actually a month stay, so 33 days. And that was helping, it was called the Tremor Study, and it was helping people with like Parkinson's and shaking diseases. And they were going to test medication on me. But the payout to that was $10,000.
Which is crazy.
Crazy
great for
money.
you.
Yeah,
life-changing, essentially.
Yeah, that would financially solve all my worries, which I'm having at the minute. And I'm sure many other people are stressed at where their next paycheck or income is going to come from.
So if anyone out there is listening to this and they're feeling really poor, and they're in Australia and they don't mind being injected with things and they want to make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
This week we are sponsored by Clinical Trials.
Which is crazy because I'm basically a clinical prostitute. I'm selling my body. It is literally. You'd lie to yourself and you're like, I'm helping people, but you're really doing it for the money.
Yeah, it's good money. It's unbelievable money.
The one I'm doing at the minute is, so I failed this one. So education time, I actually failed because of my GFR, which is, someone said to me, is like your girlfriend rating? And I was like, no, because that'd be pretty low. But
don't say that too loud.
Yeah, she's listening. GFR is actually the measurement of how, there's probably scientific people out there who will disagree with me, or I haven't said it right. But GFR is basically the rate your kidneys filter your blood. So mine needed to be 90 for the study. It came through as 84 on the first test, and then they said, we'll retest you like a week later. So they retested me, and that was actually yesterday, and I got 87. which was an absolute kick.
Well, why didn't you just tell your kidneys to filter your blood?
Yeah, come on, just give myself a little knock. But yeah,
didn't you get a boost juice just to sort it
out? I drank water. Yeah, probably none of this makes any difference. I drank so much water. I got like a detox juice. You know, when you go in and they got the menu there and they have all these fancy names, I was like, detox, please.
That'll fix all my problems.
That will get me 10 grand. It didn't, though, did it?
It just cost you $10.
Yeah, it cost me $10 and I didn't get 10 grand as a result. So yeah, no, I'll finish on that note. But yeah, you should, if you want to go down that road, it's very good money. But obviously, you are fundamentally, I don't recommend it to everyone. You are putting your body on the line, and they're really good. The companies, they give you all the information and they tell you what the drug's been through before it gets to you. Some of it's pretty eye-opening. And I won't really go into depth. That's for you to, if you really want to go into it, speak to the companies and they give you all the information. But yeah, it's a good, quick way of getting money. So yeah, there you go. And I'll go into other relief options a bit later. But yeah, that's kind of my story of how I'm surviving.
Yeah, it's obviously, like I knew you from, essentially we worked together all the time and we were, out DJing or whatever. And yeah, you went from being this mega busy guy to just having nothing whatsoever in the space of like literally a week. And,
which messes with my head. Like I need to be busy all the time,
Absolutely.
And I'd be sitting with Yasmin, for people who don't know who Yasmin is, and I keep referring to her. It's the person that weirdly agreed to marry me. And we'd be sitting there going, "Oh, I hope Dave's all right,"
Oh, that's nice, bro. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Never let him know. Never let him know.
I'm also curious at what times you say this. Like you're just sitting together.
It's just mostly when Yasmin's not paying attention to me. I'm looking at pictures of Zac Efron feeling. But yeah, Isaac, how's things went for you?
Yep. So I'm fortunate enough. The federal Australian government allowed us, Australian citizens, Australian permanent residents, New Zealand residents, all to get government subsidy. So it was $750 per week or $1,500 a fortnight if the company had lost 30% of their monthly turnover. So I work in the tourism industry, which has obviously been destroyed. And because our revenue decreased quite a lot, we were given a subsidy per Australian citizen or permanent resident or Kiwi citizen, that amount of money. The issue with that, which Dave could kind of touch on and you might delve on more, is that obviously working in tourism, say we have 15 people working for us, about 3 of us are Australian, right? And there was nothing given to us at all, or no support or no direction really on how we can keep them in their work. But I was fortunate enough to be put onto this subsidy called JobKeeper, and its main aim was to keep people in jobs, given the name. They also have something.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. They've also got something called Job Seeker, which is similar, which used to be a lot less.
What is that for?
That's for people seeking jobs. Wow. I know, right? And that's not as much money, obviously, but it was increased based off of what it was prior to COVID. But I was in a situation where I had obviously my normal full-time salary job. I had some independent kind of entrepreneurial gigs across the pond. So I run a monthly bar crawl. I host some events every now and then, and I sublet my second bedroom of my apartment. So my main source of income was fine. It was reduced by 20%. So instead of 5 days a week, I went down to 4 days a week. But it was still fine for me. But then I lost my alternate income, which were, again, like I'm fine with the what I was still getting. But it was my housemate was far more affected than me because she was Canadian. So she had to move out basically at the start of COVID. And no one wants to move into an apartment when everyone gets stripped of their jobs, essentially. Yeah. So I was paying for a 2-bedroom apartment when I should have been paying for a 1-bedroom apartment, essentially, splitting the rent. And it wasn't until... And
I might add in here that the rental prices in Melbourne are sky high. They are so high.
Yeah. It's like living in London. I've never lived in London, but someone has compared me, told me it's like living in London.
Yeah, everything's another weird thing about it in the whole of Australia. I imagine this is the case, that they do it per week. So you rent per week, which to me is insane. Why would you not just go pay us this much every month? But there is a reason for it, and it's so that they can advertise it for a certain price.
Cheaper.
But they actually... Yeah, but at the end of the month, you actually end up paying more. They do this whole thing where they take say it's $500 a week. So you take the $500 a week and you'd go, cool, there's 4 weeks in a month. So let's just times it by 4. It's $2,000. No, it's $500 times by 52 weeks divided by 12 because that's how many months.
Yeah.
That's what you end up with. And it's like $2,200 you pay. And so that's why things are kind of hard to pay for a 2-bedroom apartment when you should only be paying for a 1.
I may interject on yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't know if we mention it as well, is the reason, for those who listen, the reason people like the Canadian that was living with Isaac lost their job and couldn't be kept on is because obviously, I know you said it earlier, but JobKeepers does not apply to anyone on a temporary visa in Australia. So if you're on a working holiday visa, you're on a student visa or any other sort of temporary visa, they weren't offering you any help, which it depends how you look at it. Some people have been here on temporary visas for quite a long time, like 2 years, a year, maybe 3 years. We know some people on 4 years. And you pay the same amount of tax and all that. So I don't want to get too political, but they were basically paid quite a lot of money. And when it came to crunch time and bringing a lot of money to the country, when it came to crunch time, they were pretty much told to go home, which I get that in a time of crisis, Australia needs to look after Australians and do. But then also you need to look at, a lot of these people are contributing a lot of money just the same as an Australian. I get it if they've been here 2 months and then they're like, I need help. It's like, well, you've only been here 2 months, you know what I mean? But so this is why people like me and the Canadian, whatever,
and Yasmin
as well. Yeah,
I was
actually been hit hard.
I was actually looking there. I had brought up with you guys before this, before tonight's recording, and I had full intentions of doing more research on it, but I fell asleep before tonight's recording, of the way that the UK dealt with people in from Australia during coronavirus. And do not take this as gospel, but I've had friends that were Australian that went to the UK, that got stuck in the UK when all this happened, and they did get help. I know for a fact that they got help because I asked, how are you surviving over there if you can't work? A guy, Jordan Barlin, shout out to Jordan Barlin, hope you're doing well. He's currently doing a walk.
Joba, woo!
He's doing a walk from Land's End up to John O'Groat, so 400 odd miles. He's walking the length of the UK at the moment.
That's so long.
Fun fact, I did a charity event in secondary school, which was the equivalent distance, but on like an exercise bike, and that lasted 2 minutes.
I think he's doing really well.
So you didn't do the thing.
So I didn't really do it, but I tried.
I think he's now made it into Scotland. He's doing really well. But he did get support from the UK government because that's the nice thing to do, isn't it? If someone's paying taxes in your country and has been doing it for a while, then if something like this comes along, you might as well help them out, But
I think New Zealand did the same as well. Just shout out to Jacinda, the greatest world leader in the world.
Because she used to be a DJ.
No way.
Did she actually? Jacinda was a DJ. Jacinda.
Yeah.
We should make DJs world leaders. What a world that would be.
This is. You might not agree with me here, but just make women world leaders. It seems like every woman that was a world leader during
Germany, everything,
absolutely nailed it, right? Cool. So
just to touch on the aid thing though, because I was having this discussion, I like to play devil's advocate. All right.
Okay. I
So
know you do.
It's great if we all like circle jerk each other and say, "I want money, please." Right.
yeah.
And I don't disagree. I do think more money should have potentially been brought around to different people, especially you touched on it, Dave. People that are here in between temporary visas and permanent visas. So for those that don't know,
visas or something?
well, not so much that. So for those that don't know, you can be sponsored in Australia. Right?
Yeah.
You can work for a company, and then say you're on a working holiday visa. You've done your first year, then we do a weird farm work thing, and then you get your second year, whatever. You're at the end of your second year, and this employer goes, "Hey, you're really good. We want you to stay longer," which was something that was about to happen to Dave, which Dave can explain in a bit. But like you can be on the path to staying here potentially indefinitely, or you could already have signed the paperwork. You can already be in that position, which a good friend of mine, our chef, Jens, he was sponsored. He was sponsored for my company. He was sponsored for the hostel that I was helping manage. And he wasn't given any support, even though he is on the pathway to becoming a permanent resident. So at the end of your sponsorship, if it's the right length, you can then apply for permanent residency, which then you can apply for citizenship later on, gathered there's certain criteria and all that kind of stuff. But he was on the way there. He wasn't just a backpacker that was working at your cafe. And I think that's the big thing when I hear from a lot of people, it's like, where was our help? And I think it's different if you are a 20-year-old backpacker that got stuck here and didn't get home when you were told to, and when you were building a life. And that's what you kind of touched on. And I think there could have been a bit more leeway on that building a life here kind of thing.
That was the big deal with Yasmin. So Yasmin, we came over here. I was lucky enough to already have permanent residency because my mum had lived here for 10 years. So I instantly went onto hers. Because of that, I can then, after a year, apply for Yasmin to come onto my permanent residency. And that's what we had done. It cost us, I think, $8,000 or something like that to do that.
So what it costs?
So expensive. It's so expensive.
$8,000.
And you have to take so many photos, all of the photos and all of the proof.
The thing is, Yasmin and I never take photos together. It's such a rare occasion, right? Luckily, we'd get...
I didn't even know who she was when I first met her. I was like, who's this girl following you around?
Luckily, we got engaged like literally just before we came out. And, you know, we've been together for like 5 years. But... so we had birthday cards and things and like congratulations cards that we had to keep so that we can prove that we were together.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so ridiculous.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And like we had to send text messages, like screenshots of text messages we sent to each other. It's a whole thing.
Which is crazy because that's like invasion of your private life. But you're like,
but if
I want to stay here.
Yeah, if you're wanting to do that, then you know that's what we've got to do, and that's what we've done. But she was not entitled to anything. So we paid $8,000 for this visa. She's in this weird bridging visa, it's called. It's like a subclass something visa. And she has got full working rights.
That was a great description.
She knows what it is, I don't. She's got full working rights. She can do whatever she wants. She can work for as many hours as she wants. She'd been working, 45, 50-hour weeks in her job. And it came to this, and they turned around and went, there's going to be no help for anyone that's on any bridging visa. And as you said, Scott Morrison, I think literally did say, time to go home. Like, you guys need to leave.
Which he got a lot of backlash for.
Devil's advocate again. He said it right at the start.
Yeah,
it was not like, hey, halfway through, we're still not, we're not going to support you. It was like straight away, go home because we can't promise you anything.
Yeah. And another thing, looping back to something we said earlier about rent, the Australian government were actually really good when it came to this. And
absolutely.
Listen, no one's allowed to be chucked out of their house. Also, if you can reach an agreement with your landlord, we'll give you $2,000, which they've now increased to $3,000. Fun fact, my landlord I asked for a reduction down to $300 a week. I was on a phone call with her. Luckily, I had someone sitting beside me when I was doing this phone call in work. She went, we can take it down to $300. I went, cool. Do me a favor, put that in writing so I can apply for that $2,000 grant and you can get an extra $2,000. She was like, I'll put it in writing. sends me an email 10 minutes later with $400 a week. And I went, we literally just had a phone call together. Like, what are you doing?
She realised she messed up.
So she says, no, we agreed 400. And luckily the woman I was working with, she went, no, you did say 300. I heard it on the phone.
You said it.
She has not agreed to it still. And I've got a mediation meeting on Friday about this. To the point,
take it all the way to the top.
Honestly, to the point where Consumer Affairs, the woman who is in Consumer Affairs, goes, I have never found it more difficult to get hold of a landlord in all the time I've worked here. And I don't know why they're making it this hard for you. Because they have to agree to that amount before I can, which it's now $3,000, the thing. They have to agree to that amount so I can give them the $3,000. I'm just like, agree to the money.
And then you get more money.
Yes. What are you not getting about this? So, yeah, but that is a good thing that the Australian government done for people that were struggling. And, everyone still is. It's not an easy time for anyone at the moment. Yasmin has been very, very lucky within the last couple of days. She's been working alongside you, Isaac. And,
can we just say what she saw today?
Mate, this is incredible.
So I'm going to give this part of the recording. I am in the video part of it. I will flash up the photo of it.
So for a quick summary, brief summary. We had 2 hostels in St Kilda, which is the suburb that we live. We decided to merge both of them. The next week, coronavirus happened. So we had an active case of COVID. So merging was the dumbest idea ever. But anyways, that happened. And then everyone had to go into quarantine. We ended up going to hotel quarantine, closed the whole hostel. We're in level 4. There's no point reopening. So we were deep cleaning it and doing some renovations when Thursday afternoon at 4:30 p.m., we get a phone call saying, hey, on Monday, can you house 21 at needs individuals who have carers?
That was the most delicate way of putting that. That was beautiful.
I watched him dance around that. I was like, that was a genius.
There's some interesting characters, I'll just say that. But so this is Thursday afternoon, and we have to, by Monday, clear out all of these dorm rooms, put in TV reception, like just basically like an episode of The Block, or what's a UK version of a show?
Changing rooms, but
changing rooms done, like a giant changing rooms, right? And then we all came in. Yasmin joined as well, just deep cleaning and transforming the hostel. So now we've got 21 at-risk individuals, elderly individuals, living in the hostel. And this morning I started at 8 a.m. for my first shift with the guests. Today's Tuesday, by the way. And at 9:02 a.m., I am out the front cleaning a burrito-sized piece of shit off of the sidewalk with gloves and a black rubbish bag that stank. And it was so big, it had to use 2 hands.
Oh, my God.
And Yasmin just showed up to work because she starts at 9. She's just seen me. She takes a nice little photo of me. I'm just like smiling with my face mask. Not great. Not great start of the day.
Yasmin is used to my shits, right? And she said, not like she comes in and looks at them, but she said, JJ, this was hands down the biggest shit. Not just from a human that I've seen, but I have ever seen. Like, she described it as a baguette.
Yeah. It's like it's disgustingly impressive.
It was, yeah.
That someone's producer. That is, I feel like everyone's had a moment at one point or another during this pandemic where everyone's fallen on hard times, and we hope everyone gets through it as quick as possible. But there's one moment in this pandemic. For me, it was getting hit by a car. Isaac, I'm sure it's you picking up a baguette-sized shit.
Piece of shit.
Where you realise this is what my life's became in stage 4. We're all in this together. And when you see Australia, I don't know about other countries, but Australia's slogan for it is like, we're all in this together. Just as you're picking up the shit that's playing.
I'm just going to say, I haven't found this time bad. I've actually settled into it. It's not bothered me. smooth segue here, but I've actually managed to keep my job throughout all of this, and I actually got a promotion through it as well.
So
Just rubbing it in everyone's faces, weren't you, JJ?
I have had, well, not only, right, so let me rephrase that. So when it started, I had a job. Four days into it, I got a phone call from my boss at the time going, would you like a promotion? And I can honestly, I don't know if I can go, I can't really go into that because of, yeah, I can. Yeah. So I can honestly, I think he done it because he couldn't be bothered dealing with all the questions from everyone else in the team. So usually when there's something going wrong, they'll go to him or they'll go to me, right? And he couldn't be bothered with it anymore because they could only phone him. They weren't there in person. So I reckon he just went, I can't be bothered with that anymore, and went, JJ, you've been promoted. So I went, I'm not kidding here. This is what happened. I went from literally being the admin, the guy that was, JJ, can you go and get that printed? Yeah, I'll go do that. To being the boss of everyone, literally being in charge of them. And they were like, there was people that were like,
print your own goddamn shit.
Go get your own stuff now. So yeah, I became in charge of them. Like, people reported to me, and I was like, I have no idea what has went on here. So I got promoted, and then I got a phone call from someone that used to work with me, and she just went, listen, I know you're not enjoying it very much where you currently are because there was a bit of trouble in the team and things like that. Would you like to come and work with me? And I was like, yeah, I would.
I'll do that.
Because I really enjoy this girl, Millie, her name is. She's fantastic. And I ended up getting paid. I got an extra 40 grand on top of my wage. They just went, here's another job with 40 grand more. And I went, COVID?
40 grand more.
40 grand more.
Ridiculous.
And I just went, COVID's great, man. You're telling me I can get out my bed at 8:59 a.m. and sit down in my own house where I might say my lovely fiance every morning would come in with a delightfully prepared breakfast, lunch, and anything I wanted. She just came in like every hour and went, do you need anything else? Foot rubs were out of the question. I wasn't getting that. But any food I wanted, it was great. And you're telling me you're going to pay me $40,000 more to sit here and do that? Absolutely, I'll do that. COVID is amazing. And the girl Millie that offered me that job and got me that extra money has no idea how much she saved myself and Yasmin. We couldn't have survived on the money I was getting before. Yeah. And I tell her that on a regular basis. In fact, hopefully by the time that this comes out, and if she ever listens to it, she'll have received a gift in the mail because we're going to get her something nice because she's literally changed our lives.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To make it so that we can function, if I've only got a job. And that's the thing. That's what I wanted to get back to. Yasmin. Now, Yasmin was someone who, she's had a couple of different bar jobs since she moved here. One of the jobs, she was literally working like after she got her visa and all that, she was doing her as many hours as she could possibly do, kind of thing. And then in the job that she's in now, she's working 50 odd hours a week, and she was constantly going at it. Now, that just absolutely dried up, and she had nothing. She couldn't do anything. She wasn't allowed any money from the government. She not allowed. That's not the word. She wasn't eligible for any money from the government, which we spoke about already. If it's someone who's going through a visa process, it's not only that. It's people that were also seeking asylum in Australia. They weren't allowed any money. They were literally locked up in detention. They were technically on the same bridging visa as Yasmin, and I don't know how those people survived either. So yeah, she was applying for, I'd say, over 150 jobs a week, easily 150 jobs a week. I would sit with her and see her phone as the emails were coming in, just going, sorry. And I'm looking at it from an Australian's perspective. And of course, they're going to go for people that are from the country. First of all, they're going to go, I need to make sure that, the people that are from here are okay. And that's what was happening to her. I think if you were to look at her emails, she'd apply for well over 1,000 different jobs during this time. Not one got back to her. Not one. And it's
crazy,
it's not like Yasmin isn't willing to work. She was applying for literally cleaning toilets. I mean, like, that's what she was saying about starting that job with you, Isaac. She said to Alex, your guy's manager, like, if you want me to come in and scrub toilets every day, that's what I'll do. I'm just happy to be here. And
sorry.
Yeah, no, you go, Dave. Go.
No, I mean, it does, what you're saying there is it does make you realise, like, how fortunate you were before all this hit. And, like, I am just grateful to work now. And, like, there'll be those days, and everyone gets those days where you're going into work, you're like, I can't be bothered with work today. But now it's more a sense of, like, I will go and do any job, and getting on Uber Eats and doing cycling there. Like, it's not the most enjoyable job, but you have to do it, and you have to lose this job snob attitude, because you have to do anything to survive. And like you said, Millie, I had a legend, a shout out to Glenn Strickland and the boys over at JV as well, because mainly Glenn has kept me in consistent work every week. And, like, I'm not the most qualified tradesperson. Like, I know the basics, but I'm nothing amazing. But I'd turn up every day to work and just be very grateful to work. And Glenn was like, that's why I give you work, because you don't know everything, but you're willing to learn, and you're willing to and that it's that sort of attitude that keeps you in a job. And what I found as well, which I'm okay with the mental health, but these are tough times, and
absolutely
they can really affect someone's mental health, especially if you're like, where's my next paycheck going to come from?
Yeah.
You know, how am I going to pay this bill at the end of the month? And at the beginning of this pandemic, there wasn't really any support. And now the Australian government are, you know, starting to pick up the pace and start offering a bit more with rent and stuff like that. Which I will talk about at the end. But if you are a student in Australia and you're unaware, but there are the Australian government now is doing student relief funds as well, which I think is about $1,000. So I'll talk about that at the end, about how if you want to apply for that and check if you're eligible. The Australian government.
That's actually, I'd quite like to know about that, because Yasmin's about to start studying to become a security guard. So I wonder if she'd count as being a student.
I think you have to, one of the criteria is you have to have been on a student visa before March 2020. It's something to do with March 2020.
Most of the times it is, yeah.
They explain it better than me, because they're the ones giving out the money. I'm not giving the money, the Australian government.
But just tangent here, Dave, but how is your non-alcoholic beer?
Do you know what? It's actually... shout out to Heineken, you've made it taste like a real beer. Well done.
Superb.
That's great.
It's like a real beer without the good bit.
I feel dirty drinking it.
I might have mentioned it last week, but I'm currently having to lose weight because my doctor called me obese.
That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah. I had to go in for a whole load of tests this week for various issues with my stomach, and they said, "Listen, you don't need to stop drinking. You just need to cut down." On another note, went in for an ultrasound on my organs, because that's what you look for, and the guy doing the ultrasound went, "Do you drink?" And I went,
I'm Scottish. What do you expect?
On occasion, I dabble.
I've been known to. And he went, "Oh, your liver's very, very healthy, like very healthy." And I went, "It's been abused since the age of like 15, so I don't know why that's the case.
It's become resilient. Yeah. It's grown armor."
Yeah, but he said it looked like I didn't drink, and I was like, "Well, there we go. That is fascinating." And my kidneys are healthy, and that's the whole thing. Anyway, so I've got to lose weight, and I'm giving myself one beer a week, and the one beer a week is during the podcast. So this is a great relief for me.
One beer a week.
That's it. That's all I'm doing.
That's admirable.
I'm down. I've done a weekend. I've lost 1.2 kilos. So if I keep going, I'll get down to my target weight, which is about 87-ish kilos. I'm currently at 96.
You're touching on something which I kind of think is very important in this lockdown, and it is very. It's about setting goals and and it's very easy to sit there, and I'm a bit guilty of it, and go, why is this happening to me? But it's happening to everyone.
Yeah.
But it is very important to set goals, and now's the best time to learn something you've always put off.
Yeah, new skills and personal development.
And boys, for us, it's this podcast. Yeah, we love drinking beer, chatting shit, and Isaac, you've got this audio background. You're a very charismatic guy. And so are you, JJ. And it was like, well, why don't we?
JJ's the one that produces music. I just have a microphone.
Yeah. And then
thanks, Dave. Thanks for fluffing me before.
You're welcome. And then there's me. But yeah, we don't
even have a microphone.
I know. Which, by the way, guys, sorry for the audio quality, but I have got a microphone.
Can we just make this an ongoing joke? Could Dave just never get a better mic or a better camera? And every week he's like, next week, I promise I'll have the microphone.
I promise.
2 years later, he's like, I still don't have it yet.
Maybe
this
we'll
week sponsored by Rode Microphones.
Yeah. Maybe they'll send me one. Rode, if you're listening, I need a microphone for my podcast. So if you can send me one, that'd be great. But yeah, no, we've out of this lockdown has came this podcast, and yeah, it keeps me busy. It's something to look forward to, and
that's it. You do need something to look forward to for Yasmin and myself. When it started, we're not doing it now because we got into the swing of things a little bit, but what we done is on a Sunday night, we would write down 5 things that we wanted to do in the next week. For me, it was, I want to cycle around Albert Park twice. I want to at least go 3 different walks or blah, blah, blah. And that was it. We had to cross off our targets for the week.
That's good.
And it gave us something to do. And yeah, I think just the more we get used to the fact that because let's admit it, we all got in a routine, especially with you're not allowed to be out after 8 o'clock. You ended up in this routine where you knew that was the end of your day technically, and we were just like in this cycle. And luckily now, Yasmin's got work and stuff, so we've changed it up a little bit. But did you find yourself getting a routine with Elise?
She's pretty regimented, so she'd be up and she starts work at 9 or something, so she gets up at like 8:59, real organised like. Shout out to if her boss is listening, she doesn't actually do that. She gets up later. No, but she's real regimented. We found drinking went through the roof first lockdown, because obviously for those who are listening outside of Australia, thank you as well, but we've obviously, you might know, we've been in 2 lockdowns or experienced
I would go 3. I'd say we were in 3 different lockdowns. I think we went first lockdown, then we went into lockdown again when it was stage 3, and then we got lockdown stage 4, which was a different beast.
So the first one, I was like real positive. I was like,
that's when that was the time of Tiger King. That was everyone in the world was doing lockdown together. There was like all these memes. It didn't matter what news article you were reading. It was someone in the same position, and it was like we were a community all doing lockdown together.
And it was. It really was. By the way,
it was fun.
Tiger King 2.
No way.
What do you mean Tiger King 2?
Currently in the works.
How are they doing that?
What, him in prison? Or
I don't know what's going on, but it's currently getting made. So.
I think we should try and get Carol Baskin live on the show.
Oh my God.
Tiger King 2 in a year's time. Send everyone tweet at Caroline Baskin.
Tiger King 2, more tigers. That's all I wanted to be called. That's it.
Tiger King was unreal, man.
Revenge of the King.
People were like, oh, you need to watch Tiger King. I'm like, I'm never going to watch that shit. I'm never going to watch it. And then I watched like 2 episodes. I was like, I've got nothing better to do. Crack open a bottle of wine and go, come on, let's just go watch what this Tiger thing's all about. I was hooked. It was a bottle of wine every night and listening to Joe Exotic. I was financially never going to recover from anything. It was great. I was tempted.
Never financially recover from this.
I know, yeah. I was tempted to download one of his songs at one point. It got that bad.
That quite obviously weren't him singing. Everyone knows that, yeah? Like, that wasn't him.
Was it not?
No, it wasn't him singing.
I thought it was just auto-tuned as fuck.
None of them were him singing.
This rings a bell, actually. Didn't he get... Yeah.
He just... Yeah, someone else sang them. He mimed it.
You've ruined Christmas, JD. You've ruined Christmas.
but
I wanted the album.
Does that not make him better? Though he's been so...
It was believable.
like obnoxious as to go, yeah, fuck it, it's me, man. Like, I get it. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's not like he wasn't his biggest fan.
Oh yeah, man. There was pictures of him on his own wall. You know
I wish I had his self-confidence at times.
I have a picture of me on my own wall.
Yes, you do. For ladies and gentlemen, those who I've seen this. For those who are listening, he does have a picture of himself.
I don't know where it is at the moment, but
do you want to tell it?
Moved.
Do you want to tell it, or am I going to tell it?
It's not relevant. It's not. We don't.
Okay, I'll tell it then. It is. So picture this, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Wolf of Wall Street cover. So you got Leonardo DiCaprio there in the office, and the whole office is going crazy behind him. It is as if Gatios's young face, much like Andy Samberg's face, imposed on Leonardo DiCaprio. And it's called the Wolf of St Kilda or the Wolf of Melbourne?
The Wolf of Melbourne.
The Wolf of Melbourne. That's the funny part. The most disturbing part about it is every person in the background's face has been superimposed with a different version of Isaac through the years.
Oh my
God. It's actually disturbing to look at.
I didn't make it myself, though. It was made for me for my 21st birthday.
Sure.
Because what better present for me than
Bullshit.
me?
Yeah, true. I would like to give a weird shout out just now to someone that Isaac and I both know, Jack Whitfield, who reached out to me and said, "Are you doing a podcast with Isaac?" And I went, "Yeah. How do you know him?" He went, "Oh, I met him in Budapest. It was a whole thing." And yeah, like this guy that I know from I used to DJ at a trampoline park. Not a shout out to Airspace because you were mean. But yeah, he used to do like...
Wait. You used to DJ at a trampoline park?
Not only at a trampoline park, I also DJed at something for all those Glasgow listeners, which is where I'm from, and hopefully there's people listening. I used to DJ at something called the Aqua Disco, which is a disco for people under the age of 14 at a swimming pool.
Jesus Christ.
What did you play?
Getting wet, getting a bit of slips.
It was a very odd situation because I was kind of new to DJing. Well, not new, but it was like I was during, you know, when like EDM was big and it was like Showtech and things like that, and you're just trying to play songs that didn't swear, but kids are coming up and asking you for like my neck, my back, and you're like, oh my God.
I feel like Glaswegians, especially, no offense to Glaswegians, but even under 14 Glaswegians are going to be up to some interesting things in those waters.
I know what I was up to in those waters at that age. So yeah.
If an under 14 Glaswegian asked me for a song request, you know what? I wouldn't fucking disagree with them. They can have whatever. Yeah, they knock me out. They can have whatever they want.
Glasgow kids.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Jack Whitfield from the trampoline park.
Would you say that was your strangest gig you've ever had?
The strangest gig I've ever had, trampoline park. There's been a few weird ones, man. I used to work for this guy, shout out to Steve Lamash as well. He used to just book me for these weird... Here's a question. When you DJ, Dave, did you ever DJ for a hen party?
He wasn't allowed.
Yeah, no, I wasn't allowed.
Alex was like, nah, not having a bar.
No, I've DJ'd for not a wedding. I've DJ'd for some just birthday parties. I find birthday parties.
So the answer is no.
No, yeah, so the answer's a no to that. Yeah.
So, and I'll get back to the hen party thing in a minute. But I used to, now that the police can't get me, I used to break into underground tunnels in Glasgow and just have parties in them.
Superb.
I broke into an underground tunnel underneath the hospital I was born in for my 21st birthday, just for poetic justice.
That's a cool story.
Yeah. Anyway, so
thanks for that commentary, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Sky Sports now with Dave. That was some football. But yeah, the hen party.
The aim of the game is to score goals.
One of them did more than the other. Good night.
Me and Michael Owen in a room together. That'd be some conversation.
But yeah, I did this hen party, and I remember I was playing away, and they had all these song requests, and luckily I had them all. But I remember the bride came up to me and she said, "Hi, can you do me a favor? Can you just turn it down a little bit?" And I was like, Yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, cool. Turns it down. Literally 2 minutes later. Can you just turn it down a little bit more? Yeah, I can do that. 1 minute later, it literally comes out and goes, actually, can you just turn the music off? So she just asked me to turn the music off. She then got everyone to sit. This is the most awkward, and I hope this woman will hopefully never find this. But she then got everyone together that was at the party, happily dancing away, drinking, to stop, go get a chair, bring it into the middle, so she could play a game of guess who it was. And this is how the game played, okay?
No.
So she was like, now everybody's written out a story of what they think about me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the story and I'm going to guess who it was. It went on for 2.5 hours and everyone's just sitting there going... For anyone that's listening to this, my eyes are just wide open. And they weren't allowed to go up to the bar. It was the weirdest thing I've ever been in. And I just packed up and left. It's like, cheers, mate. I'll take the money and go. See you later. And
5-hour gig, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'll take the money for that. It's smashing.
I remember my first ever proper gig, and I was like proper new to DJing, and one of my mates had tried to take up promoting and all that, and we did it in a local bar called Vanilla Lounge, which anyone listening to back home, that was a real retro bar. Anyway, so I remember I'm nervous and I practice this hour set over and over and over and over again, and I'm like shaking when I'm getting up to the decks. Anyway, every mix was, well, back then in my head it was flawless, but it was probably absolutely shit. But I remember one of the songs I did the dreaded thing where I just, instead of pressing play, I pressed pause or something like that. And my sister and all that was there, and the whole bar just stopped.
Whoa. Let's go back a minute. Dave's got a sister.
I have got a sister, yeah.
Older or younger?
She's older. We're not going down this road. Don't do this. No, she's happily married.
Yasmin, I'm leaving.
So I press pause, the whole bar looks at me, and my sister's just there in the bar and just goes, "Way!"
That's exactly what one of us would do to you.
Yeah, it's just like, I just felt my soul die. Inside.
Do you remember the first song that you ever played?
Well, the one, yeah, I actually do remember. Or I remember the song I messed up on. It was...
it's burned into his memory.
I don't know. I can't.
So you don't remember?
I just don't want to sing it because I can't remember the name of the song.
No, come on, sing it, go.
Oh, Teenage Crime it was.
Oh, yeah.
Teenage Crime.
Adrian Lux.
That's how Adrian Lux, that's it. Yeah.
That's an absolute tune, by the way, to be fair.
That's the song I messed up on.
I'd like to do a whole episode one day on us and all our experiences working as like DJs and hosts and things like that. That would be absolutely fantastic. I think I could talk for hours on that.
I think we could do that soon. We've got some interesting stories on, because we've all worked together in the hospo industry and events and that. And we've got.
I don't remember half of it.
I mean, that bar crawl that you do, that gets pretty crazy.
The bar crawl was the one that I ended up DJing for at St Kilda Fest, yeah.
No, St Kilda Festival. We were.
That was the St Kilda Festival.
Yeah, that was St Kilda Festival.
That wasn't. Sorry, Isaac.
That wasn't a bar crawl.
I'll go DJ for your bar crawl.
For those listening who's not, and those who have been on it, they'll agree. It's pretty outrageous. You've been on a bar crawl though.
Me?
You used to run a bar crawl. You told us this last week.
Yeah. I've run many bar crawls. So let's move on to our next section, guys, and let's move on to our story of the week, or a news story, something interesting.
Can I go first? Because it's relating to the COVID stuff, right? And lockdowns. So would you both say that you... Actually, no, JJ, you shut the fuck up. Dave, would you say that you have lost money and work because of COVID?
Are we talking COVID or out of COVID?
COVID.
Right, yes.
Yeah, right? So you can imagine, especially level 4, like we said, there's so like construction sites can only have 5 people on them and whatnot, and all these different restrictions and stuff. So as of yesterday, it's been announced that the Andrews government is facing a multi-billion-dollar class action lawsuit.
From whom?
Why?
So from large businesses, hire companies, operators, people that have been put out of work due to the unnecessary restrictions.
They won't. It won't pass. Like, how do they think that's going to go in a court?
Apparently, they're using the same lawyer that sued the Queensland government for not COVID related, but some other weird restriction or weird law change that put a lot of them out of work, and they won. They beat Queensland.
I hope he gets COVID. That's
The lawyer? You have the lawyer. No, the lawyer's just doing his job. He's just been asked to represent some people and they're doing it.
Yeah, they're just trying to make back the money they lost.
Well, yeah, and they also think it was unjust and that, I mean, you know, some people don't think it's real.
So
and
here's
I don't want to go
thing.
into that.
Here's how to measure it, right? How many people have died in Australia? I think at the moment we're sitting at 500-600.
Yeah, something like that.
That is a daily count. That's a low daily count in some countries.
Yeah.
Essentially what Big Daddy Dan has done, that's because that's what I call him, Daddy Dan.
Before or after he fucks you.
Both times. What he's done is he's prevented it from getting any further, because we had a huge outbreak here, man. We were getting over 1,000 cases, you know, a day.
Yeah.
And
it could have spiraled into chaos.
Yeah. So what do these companies want? Oh, I want money because this guy stopped everyone dying. No.
As you can tell, JJ's petition to be the defense as well. No.
We think, well, you're wrong. That's and that'll be the whole thing.
I imagine you as a lawyer, someone just says something that a case against you, and you just like, fuck off, in this real broad Scottish accent. Just
hear you. Shut it, right? Do you know who my dad is? Because I don't.
Just get a 14-year-old Glaswegian in the corner.
I want to hear Aqua Barbie Girl now.
This is a courtroom. No.
Sing it. I'm a Barbie girl.
That would be a good courtroom. I'd like to be on jury service that day.
It's something I've never done. Have you ever done jury service?
I've never done jury service. I'm super keen. I reckon it'd be just a laugh. I love to pretend like I'm like a sociopath or something and just sit there and be like, do you think you can justly represent the people and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he fucking killed him. It's like, whoa.
This is the guy we want. It's him. We got him.
I wanted to do jury service just because I wanted to get on the job I hated. That's mainly why I wanted to do it. Just so
and then you left and came to Australia.
And I left and came to Australia anyway, yeah.
So how do you think this Dan Andrews government being sued is going to go? Do you think they're just in doing it? Do you not?
Not at all. That's the dumbest shit ever. But
that's up there with anti-maskers and all that. That's my personal opinion. But
to be fair, there's some big heads. Like it's not like old mate Palmer, that has the fish yeah. But it's not just like a local fish and chip shop. Like I don't know if you guys know the Carlton Club, which I used to frequent for years in the city. The owner of that's looking to join. There's just a bunch of just random organizations that are in the talks of potentially, because it's class action,
financial help.
Anyone can join.
They got financial help. Every company did. Okay, they might not have made as much as whatever, but everyone got paid. All their staff would have got paid if they were eligible.
That's if they were down 28% and not 30%, then they get nothing.
So you're telling me the Carlton Club bar?
I'm not. I know. I think it's dumb as well. But I'm just saying, not everyone would have potentially gotten the help. But yeah, so that's the thing. Fucking class action suit against the government. This is like some House of fucking Billions TV show kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Going back to your anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers kind of people, Dave.
Yeah.
There's this girl that I DJ'd with. She's a younger girl, and I only ever spoke to her. And, we had like a Christmas function for all the guys that DJ'd at this one night in the city. I won't mention it. But I met her there and we're talking away, blah, blah, blah. And I hear her later on talking about, I just like to sit down and meditate and, look inside my chakras and I can see you through my third eye and blah, 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 blah. And, if you try hard enough, you can make yourself levitate and shit like this, right? So she then posts on Facebook 2 days ago being like, here are all the reasons you shouldn't get the COVID vaccine. You know, people like Bill Gates, who's a transhumanist and wants everyone to become robots, wants you to have this so he can microchip you and blah, blah, blah. And you should also not do this because it will deplete your aura. And I'm like, what you're doing is spreading you. So here's my situation here, Dave, right? I come into you one day, right? Off the street, you know, hey, JJ, how you doing? I'm like, mate, I've been just sitting looking at myself in the mirror and I've been able to see myself in the past because I can look through it. You would turn to me and you would instantly go, we need to get my doctor. Something's happened. I don't know what he's taken, but something's went very wrong here. And
way too much DMT.
Way too much DMT. And that's at that point I would go, that's possibly you know, you can have your beliefs and all that you think you can see this, but see when you try and tell people to not get vaccinated for a disease which is legitimately killing people, then you become more of a health concern to me.
Yeah.
So can someone explain that to me? Where do you go from being a girl meditating that can walk through mirrors or whatever the fuck to I am now a qualified, you know, anti-vaxxer to tell you how things are happening at the age of 19?
This is the thing in this pandemic. There's so many experts. For those who are listening, I'm doing that thing with my fingers, the quotation. And it's really painful to watch, and it's also dangerous. And look, I get it with the anti-vaxxers. Like it's your body, great. You know, you choose to do what you want with your body. All for that. If you don't want to have a vaccine, don't have it. But when it comes to a global pandemic, it's a bit, you know, we need thousands of people are dying from it.
Yeah.
And you need, you know, okay, maybe don't have, this is my personal opinion, maybe don't have other vaccines. That's great. That's your choice, you know, but when it comes to COVID...
It's not like you definitely had them when you were a kid and you haven't died of the diseases that prevented you from dying from, whatever. It's not like they absolutely fucking worked. Nah, it's cool, mate. You sit there and you eat your tofu and tell me how, you know, the third plane is working right now.
Yeah, it's kind of worrying and you don't know as well when people are making these crazy allegations or crazy claims, like... There could be someone who's really receptible to that and start listening, and it just can cause a monument of damage. Which,
of course, we're seeing things in our perspective, right? I'd like to just quickly get into something. I am a very left-wing kind of guy, right? I'm very liberal, blah blah blah. But recently, I've noticed that everything that I see on social media just echoes the things that I want to hear, and I'm like, this isn't good for me to like just see these things. I need to see the other side of what's going on. For example, the shooting that happened in America with that little 17-year-old guy who, you know, there's now a Christian organization that's raised $270,000 calling him a hero for shooting people, you know, like I need to see things from that side. And I'm worried that these people who are anti-vaxxers and things like that are only seeing things in their little echo chamber. Yeah. And they're not seeing the other side. And I think
shout out to the mental health thing earlier. I said is like I find watching the news can really fuck up your day because it is just so negative. So instead of listening to the news, listen to us. We're great. They're self-promoting.
Our podcast today is sponsored by Mental Health.
Also sponsored by us. Sponsored by us. Watch us.
Yeah. Sponsored by Isaac. Sponsored by Dave. Sponsored by JJ.
Not sponsored by the news. We have declined.
Murdoch Media.
We'll tell you the news how it's meant to be told, and it probably won't be accurate.
Yeah.
Which is a lot like the real news.
Yeah, exactly. Not wrong. Right, Dave, let's see. What have you got this week?
My article, sorry, I feel like I've been quite serious tonight. It's probably because I'm drinking 0% beer. My article's going to get a little bit sad, but my thing of the week is paying tribute and absolute shout out to Chadwick Boseman, who... unfortunately passed away this week. And those who don't know who Chadwick Boseman was, he was most known for playing the Black Panther in the Marvel universe. why, yeah, well, we hear of celebrities dying of cancer and stuff like that. It's terrible. Why this one has hit me a bit more is, well, I'm a massive Marvel fan. I love the Marvel universe. But,
Sponsor.
Yeah, sponsor. That'd be nice.
Spoke about this.
They're not sponsoring us, but we'd like them to one day. But yeah, this guy was was diagnosed with colon cancer, and it came out, it was a big secret. This guy has gone through filming and acting. The dude even went to visit terminally ill or ill children or people in general and help them get through their battles with cancer. And the dude himself is fighting cancer, which is pretty fatal. To hold all that down and keep it very private, not let the media get a hand on it. He's married his wife before he died as well, just before he died. So
it'd be pretty hard to do it after it, mate, to be honest.
Well, yeah. But he's made sure she's looked after. The guy's he's a real life hero. The bit that got me most upset was, and I'm going to read this if it's all right with you lads, was from Josh Gad, who I didn't really know who he was, but after I've Googled him, I realised he's in 21, if you've ever watched 21. Mm-hmm. He's the biggest dude with the glasses kind of comedy. But the bit that hit me was Chadwick Boseman's last message to Josh Gad, and I'll read it here, when you read this message, and you read it through the eyes of a dying man, it's so sad. So it starts and it's called Catch the Rain. If you're in Los Angeles, you woke up this morning to the rare and peaceful sound of steady precipitation. If you're like me, maybe you looked at the week's forecast and found that it's supposed to rain for 3 straight days, not without breaks of sunlight or reprieves of moist gloom. But yeah, it's going to be coming down like cats and dogs. Great. We're stuck inside these damn quarantines because of COVID, and now we can't even get no sun in Cali. Come on now. But now the rain has stopped and today's storm has cleared. I urge you to go outside and take a deep breath. Notice how fresh the air is right now after our skies have had a 3-week break from the usual relentless barrage of fumes from bumper to bumper LA commuters. And now today's rain has given the city of angels a long overdue and much needed shower. Inhale and exhale this moment and thank God for the unique beauties and wonders of this day. We should take advantage of every moment we can to enjoy the simplicity of God's creation, whether it be clear skies and sun or clouded over with gloom. And hey, if the air is clear right now and it does rain tomorrow, I might even put jars and bins out to catch the rain. Throw that in a water filter and I have a water more alkaline than any bottle brand out there. And that was from the late Chadwick Boseman, which I think is, it's a beautiful message. Just
making the best of a bad situation, and it's such a nice outlook to have, and I suppose it's an outlook that you can only have if you're in that situation.
Yeah. So very sad that the world's lost that man. Incredible guy.
Chadwick Boseman. I went and seen Black Panther twice. It's there's very rare occasions I've watched a movie twice in the cinema. Seen Black Panther twice. Absolutely fantastic. What I learned this week about him was that he couldn't afford, I don't know if you guys know this, but he couldn't afford
I heard this.
To acting school. He couldn't do that. There was like a kind of scholarship type thing where, someone anonymous paid for his time at acting school. And he didn't find out until after he went that the person that paid for him to go to acting school was Denzel Washington. He had no idea, right?
Really?
So, he had no idea.
Crazy.
But he ends up learning about this, and he's like, "What? Denzel Washington paid for my acting school. What did I do?" And he had this very unique moment where he was in a room at an award ceremony where Denzel Washington was in the room, and he comes up and he talks, and it's about Black Panther, blah blah blah. But he stops and he goes, Black Panther isn't possible without Denzel Washington, and he explains what this man has done, that he's given his money without, knowing who, no questions, just here's the money. This young guy deserves to go to acting school, and he's the way that looking at the video now, you can see how much weight Chadwick Boseman has lost, and it's because of cancer.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that the media people were taking pictures of him and laughing at how skinny he was, not knowing obviously that he's unwell. But yeah, he's standing there. He's a dying man standing in this podium, not asking for anything to be praised upon him, but instead passing it on to Denzel, who gave him that opportunity to be where he is today. And the fact that he kept all this a secret, not the Denzel stuff, the fact that he kept all this cancer stuff a secret and still pushed through and done everything that he done. Watch Black Panther again. Put yourself in that man's shoes and see how difficult that was for him.
Yeah.
Honestly, as weird as it is, everything that's going on politically in America right now with Black Lives Matter, that man gave people a platform to stand up and speak just because he played a black superhero. Not the first. We'll talk about, Blade, Wesley Snipes.
What a guy.
But Chadwick Boseman will forever be missed, I imagine, by everyone that's a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
I'm very sad to see him go.
What's weird as well about that film is, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it touches a lot on death in the film as well, which, when it talks about the afterlife and stuff like that. And it's someone who's suffering from cancer. That must have been tough to film, Yeah. Shout out, Chadwick. Gonna miss you.
Yeah, man. Horrible times.
JJ.
On a lighter note, hopefully, JJ.
Man, I was close to crying there. That was horrible. Okay, cool. So for people that don't know me, which I imagine is going to be quite a few of you.
Everyone listening
doesn't know me. I have got something called, I pronounce it cerebral palsy. It's technically not how you're meant to pronounce it. It's meant to be cerebral palsy, but my mum's battered that into me since I was like 2 years old. What that means is that for anyone that's watching on video right now, I'll narrate for those who aren't, is that my left hand, I've got it on my right side. So my left hand and my left foot work perfectly. Absolutely. The best left-handed foot you've ever seen in your life. Honestly, up there should be a statue of both things.
The strength in it is ridiculous.
Yeah, I've got big. I can't use my right hand. It doesn't do anything I ask it to do. Mostly, it can open and close, but only if my wrist is bent. It's a whole thing. My right foot is a different size from my left foot, so I need to buy 2 different pairs of shoes. That's also a whole thing. Because I can't use my right hand, my left hand has got a lot of power in it, like a stupid amount of power in it. I will play you a game of, the game Peanuts, now where you have to get someone to say peanuts when you hold their hand and you squeeze it and stuff. I will play anyone at that, hands down, and I'll beat you. I've never been beaten at it.
You did it to me. My hand hasn't been the same since.
So I have that affliction. I'm very lucky. There's people on this planet who have the same as I have, and they can't talk or walk. Shout out to, I've got a guy, Ian Gallagher, that I went to school with. He had the same as me, but he had it in both his left and right side, as well as his little sister, Lauren. There's also my mate Stephen, that I used to hang about with in the garage back in Glasgow, and he's got it a little bit worse than I do. It's a lot. I can't do a lot of things. It's a pain in the backside, right? It means that it took me to the age of 10 to learn how to ride a bike. Dave and I went out a cycle today.
You were great.
Good at it now.
You were good, man.
Once.
Yeah. Unlike me on my first day of Uber.
Yeah, take that, Dave. I've cycled nearly 400 kilometers this year. I get there. I learned how to do things. All I want to do is climb a tree, though. Not very good at it. You wouldn't be if you only had one hand to use. But there's a guy.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy called Cleborn Klusk. No, his name's Elon Musk, and he is a guy that is the head of a company called Tesla, which I used to work for. Isaac only found this out last night that I used to work for them. He's also head of a company called SpaceX, who sometimes shoot Tesla cars into space. Why? Just because they can. And he's also the head of another company called The Boring Company. Fun name for a company. What do? They bore tunnels. Great name. Cool. Love it. There's a fourth company he's part of
How many companies is this guy?
Because this guy's a genius.
Well, he's the guy that came up with PayPal as well. He was.
Someone else told me this the other day. Is that true?
Yeah. It's
Yes.
actually something called like X or something like that before, and he teams with someone else and they fought over the name. But if you've got a spare 10 minutes, people at home, we might do a conspiracy theory episode one day. Look up the PayPal mafia and the people that worked at PayPal when it first started and what they own now. It is obscene. They own everything. They own Amazon, Google, everything.
Really?
Anyway, it was Bezos wasn't involved. Doesn't matter. But
Probably own some of it.
So he's also part of this company called Neuralink. And what Neuralink is it's a company that aims to help people that have got brain and spinal injuries. And what they want to do, and they have proven that now works, is put a chip in the top of your head. The chip is, this is how they do it.
Right, in your head.
Yeah. Inside your head. So the way it works is you go into this machine. The machine does the whole operation, right? It's all automated. It scans your head. It cuts a hole in the top of your skull.
Oh, a hole.
A hole in the top of your skull.
In your head.
Yep, cuts a hole in your head. It puts little, I'm going to use the word cables because I forgot the name. Tiny little thin
electrode kind of things.
Yeah, electrodes into your neurons in your brain. Like pinpoint puts them in, and it misses every vein in your brain so that you don't bleed. There's no bleeding. They showed you a video of all this. And then the chip seals at the top of your skull so that it's flush with your head. It also charges wirelessly, which is it's a magnetic charge. Anyway, what they're aiming to do is help people with brain injury. Cerebral palsy is a brain injury. Essentially, I had a stroke in the womb when I was young. My brain then couldn't repair itself, and that's why I am the way I am. So what this guy in this company, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is the guy that's came up with everything, because of course he's the face of it, but there's going to be scientists and engineers behind all this. So what this company's done is essentially given me a chance in the future. I'm not saying it's going to be in the next 10 years, but it might be in the next 20. So I might be nearly 50 years old, but they've given me a chance to potentially climb a tree, man. Like,
life goal.
What we're saying is, if you share this podcast enough, it will get to Elon Musk. He'll put a chip in JJ's head and he'll climb a tree and we'll film it.
So does that technically make you a cyborg?
It does, 100%. It does. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Just you said earlier, like they showed the video of it.
Yeah.
I really hope that video is not like his car press conference.
The Cybertruck, which I've got my reservation in for.
Where they hit the window and it just smashed and it was meant to be bulletproof.
Yeah, good old
times. Don't fuck this one up, Elon. This is people's brains.
yeah. So yeah, I've actually got my reservation in for that car. Come on, the Cybertruck.
Well, you've reserved the Cybertruck.
Yeah, it's only you only had to put down like $150 for your reservation. So I done that, and Yasmin was very upset with me. She's like, "You're not getting the Cybertruck."
I'm upset with you.
She's like, "You're not getting it." And I went, "Look at it though." She went, "Okay, you're maybe getting it." So yeah, this thing. I mean, I'm looking at it from a very selfish point of view. I've got a very good quality of life. You know, I'm fine. There's not many things I can't do. I DJ with one hand, which
hats off to you, man. That is, I've seen you. For anyone who wants to know, that when I've stood behind the DJ decks with JJ and he's DJing with one hand, it's something to watch. It's pretty spectacular.
I look more disabled than ever, but yeah. So you know, I'm looking at it from a very selfish point of view, but of course, there's people that have been in a prime example. Let's be very relevant. The man that got shot in the back 7 times in America by the police, he's now paralyzed from the waist down because of those bullets in his spine. He's got the chance to walk again because of that. Like, that is possible, because what they're going to do is they're going to put a chip in your head, and if you've got a spinal problem, they're going to put a chip at the bottom of your back, and they two can communicate together and send signals still.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's unreal. The potential there is just...
The more crazy. I hear about stuff like this and like how technology is advancing, I watch Terminator and I'm like, that's going to happen.
Well, Terminator Day was what 2 weeks ago?
Well, that makes sense. 2020. What a fucking year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Skynet's coming.
Other things that this chip can be used for is where he was asked questions about it, and he went, in the future, what other capabilities will it have? And he went, well, you're probably going to be able to, if anyone's ever heard Elon Musk talk, he's a very clever man, but he doesn't speak well. It takes a long time to say a very
I don't think his brain can... His brain's moving too quick.
And that's part of the problem. That's exactly part of the problem. That's the solution for that, is using these chips, because he said, well, you're going to be able to store memories in these chips and play them back like a video, right? Cool, fantastic. That might get a bit dodgy when it comes to, privacy, and if you're ever arrested for something, the police just take the chip out and go, well, we can fucking see that you've done it, you fucking idiot. And then, but he also said, soon, if two people have it, they can just communicate telepathically. They won't need to speak.
That'd be crazy.
So that's Elon's problem.
This is hurting my brain.
Yeah.
Imagine having
that was a
brain
selfish,
sex whilst having real sex.
Imagine we're doing our podcast.
What are you talking about?
Sending the sex through the brain. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Send me the thoughts.
Lockdown has been difficult for some of us, boys. Calm down. Let's move it on.
You just send in your shopping list. Oh,
even with the chip, you'd still be single.
Bloody lockdown.
Imagine that though. You're struggling to chat up someone you like, and you just meanwhile, you just what do I say? And then you're like,
download some pickup lines.
Yeah. I'll Google it in my brain.
I think it's great. He also said that you'll be able to play music directly into your brain. You won't have to listen to it. We're at the point where
good, because people who walk around playing their music out loud, it's just fucking grinds my gears, man.
Yeah, but we're at the point where we're in the future. This is it. The future's starting to happen.
Yeah.
Well, technology, there's going to be a real dumb way of saying it, but technology hasn't advanced as quick as it has now.
Yeah.
You know Moore's Law?
Is it about me?
3 years.
No.
It's twice as fast, but half as cheap.
Yeah.
Half as expensive, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
It doesn't work anymore. That's the problem.
Because we've gotten too amazing.
Yeah, it actually stopped working. But so Moore's Law is that computing power will get twice as good and half the price every 3 years, I believe.
That's crazy.
And it did keep doing that for a while. And we hit a point, I'd say about 8 years ago, probably, when I'm looking at computers now. I mean, I'm sitting using an 8-year-old MacBook Pro right now. And it just does as well as.
Do you know what that point when the chips invented and we're all walking around and Googling chat up lines and that, I'll still have a shit mic.
And on
it's coming next week.
Yeah, it'll be tune in next week to see if I've got a good mic.
Honestly, it's going to be the thumbnail for one of our videos on YouTube. Dave with the mic, people losing their shit. And he opens it and there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's just another headphones or something. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of us, guys, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Just quickly, earlier I did mention about the student relief. So if you are a student in Australia listening to this, just head over to, I think it's studymelbourne.vic.gov.au, and there is the International Student Emergency Relief Fund, and I totally didn't just read that from the computer screen. But yeah, if you head over there, they've got all the information if you're in a tough spot at the minute in Australia and you haven't heard about this fund, head over to there and you may be eligible. Be able to check your eligibility. Yeah, you'll check it. Thank you, yeah.
The LL thing.
The chip.
And I'm the disabled one.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, are you boys got anything to add?
Yeah. I mean, so for those that don't know, we've got all of the things. Last week we said we're going to make all the things. Now we've got all the things. We got Facebook. We got Instagram. We got fucking Twitch, YouTube, everything. It's the 3 Schooners. And our email address is what I said it was last week, the3schooners@gmail.com. So if you have any feedback, any suggestions, any fan art, any remixes of things that we say or do, send it through right there.
Right now.
if you are listening on iTunes, a nice little, if you could give us a 5-star review, that helps us go up the charts. That would be lovely. Would very much appreciate that. We have now, I mean, this is episode 2, so here's a little sneak peek behind the scenes. Isaac finished the logo. So
Which is here.
He punched the mic. So,
I did.
so Isaac finished the logo. We've got a logo now. Hopefully we'll be putting those on t-shirts. And as Dave said,
I was a joke. The t-shirt thing was a joke.
Man,
We're skipping straight to t-shirts.
I'm going to wear them every week.
Yeah. Fuck it, let's do it. Let's make pens. Let's make fucking stickers. Let's make a bunch of stickers and just stick them everywhere.
Bottle openers. That's
Bottle
what we
openers,
do.
yeah.
Done.
And car freshness. Everyone loves that. A bit, yeah. No? Okay.
Backpackers have cars. Like, it's so rare.
It's probably
We'll get you a good old bottle opener. Hopefully we've got some, we're going to have some competitions. I've got some ideas. I actually spoke to Dave about this, not you, Isaac, but I've got a good plan. Wait till you hear this.
No
he
worries.
tells me everything.
He tells me, because Isaac just doesn't phone me enough.
Busy cleaning up shit.
Yeah, to be fair, it was big shit.
So contact us on any social media platform. If you've got anyone
which we should do, because you did the email. We got Facebook.
I did all of them.
You did all of it.
Come on, Dave, you got to catch up, mate. you asked that.
Sorry, boys, it's that 0% beer. It's got straight to my head.
If there's anyone that you know in Melbourne or anywhere for that matter, because we can do it over Zoom, that you think we should speak to, that would be someone that would be fun on the podcast, that would give a little bit more info out about, their traveling experiences, anything like that. Get in contact with us. We'll get in contact with them. The more people we have, the merrier. So that's all I've got to say, guys.
Awesome.
And if you are listening to this next Tuesday, we'll have our next episode.
We will.
Yeah, because whenever this uploads, it'll be the next Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to put it out on Tuesdays. Yeah.
There we go. Done.
It's going to be regular.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not as regular as my poos. Well, they're very irregular. And that's why I had to go to the doctor.
We might have to do a podcast on bowel movements as well. It's
called This Podcast is the Shit.
Yeah.
Yes. And on that note, I think we should tie it up.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, guys.
Catch you later on. Bye-bye.